ChatGPT AI seems to have taken the language learning community by storm. Now, there are many videos on YouTube and articles talking about this new technology and how it will change the way that we learn languages and maybe even replace traditional language learning. I do agree with that first point that ChatGPT will change, and it already has changed the way that we learn our target languages, but I don't agree that ChatGPT will completely replace traditional language learning. One reason for this, I believe, is that ChatGPT can only replicate so much of the process of how us humans learn languages. And language learning is such a complex process, and we have so many different methods that we use to learn languages as well. And I don't see how ChatGPT can capture all those unique ways. So a few days ago, I wrote this as a prompt in ChatGPT. Give me a conversation completely in Mexican Spanish that is at a Mexican market in Mexico City. So the results I got were actually pretty good in my opinion. I really liked the dialogue that I was given. I get to read a conversation in Mexican Spanish about a very specific topic. I can take note of the vocabulary words that I don't know and then look up the definitions using ChatGPT. And then as well, I can follow along with the dialogue and just speak as I am reading. That is quite helpful, right? But what I think is even more valuable and more helpful is if I were to take out a sheet of paper and I start writing down my grocery list in Spanish and French, because those are the two languages that I'm learning right now. And then I'm going through the process of trying to remember the vocabulary words that I need for my grocery list. So maybe I'm walking around my apartment and I'm thinking to myself in both of these languages and I'm speaking loud as well. So I'm like, ¿qué necesito? ¿Qué es que j'ai? I don't know how to say that in French. But so then I go into my fridge and I'm looking and then I see different items, right? And then I start saying the names of those items as well, if I can remember them. So I'm going through this process of thinking, going through this process of at least trying to speak, and I get a lot of practice that way. And I find this to be more challenging and more spontaneous because life is like that. And let's say if I were to go to the store, I'm doing the same exact thing. I'm looking at my grocery list with the French and Spanish words on them. And then I'm again speaking to myself as I'm going through the aisles and I'm looking for the items that I need. Then I see different products on the shelves and I start to say the names of those. I'm trying to think right now. Salsa or fruta, les fruits en francés or en francés, yo creo. And I'm just going through this process of trying to remember all this vocabulary. I'm trying to create these sentences in my head from all the grammar that I have studied. So it is very spontaneous. And then as I continue to walk around, I'm seeing different things that are happening around me. So maybe I'm narrating everything that I'm seeing. And then I figure out that, oh, I don't really know how to say that. Maybe someone is putting up an item on the shelf or a worker is putting up a product on the shelf. And I don't really know how to say that. But I still try to create that sentence. So, en español sería, yo creo, el trabajador está poniendo un producto en algo, ¿cómo se dice? I actually don't know how to say shelf in Spanish. So there you go. That's a good example right there. Now, even though this exercise was quite challenging and I was just kind of fumbling over my words there a little bit and I forgot some vocabulary or didn't know some vocabulary, it still made a very memorable experience because as humans, we are very visual and we also tend to remember moments where we are messing up for some reason. Let's add another layer to this. So I'm at the store, right? I'm walking around, I'm talking to myself in Spanish and French. And then I see or I overhear a native speaker of French or Spanish. So now I'm trying to think about what exactly they are saying in their native language. And then I'm thinking about, okay, I want to be able to go up to them and ask them a question. So now I'm going through this process of, okay, I'm going to ask them this question and preparing myself for what they're going to ask me afterwards. And then I realize that I don't know what accent that they have. So that's one of the first things that I ask them is, ¿de dónde es usted? Or do beni u? Like, ¿de dónde es usted en francés? Yo no sé. So I ask a question like that and they tell me where they're from and then we start a conversation. So now this makes the challenge, or this makes it even more difficult for me to communicate because now I'm trying to process what they are saying to me and it can be very challenging if I've never heard that particular accent before, right? And I'm trying to navigate this tough conversation and decrease the language barrier. Now, I don't think ChatGPT can really imitate or replicate rather these types of human interactions and really show me just how much I really don't know about a language. I'm testing my knowledge of grammar and vocabulary by trying to create all these sentences spontaneously, and then I'm also being tested, or I'm also working on my listening comprehension skills because I'm trying to comprehend what this native speaker is saying to me, and also, I'm working on my speaking skills overall. And maybe this native speaker even told me a lot about their country, so I'm also learning about the culture of my target language. All these things create a very memorable experience for a language learner. On the other hand, I can create many different prompts in ChatGPT to give me a lot of this information as well. I can ask ChatGPT to give me 100 slang words from Colombia or from France or something like that. I can practice having a dialogue. But again, I don't think that really captures the human experience, which I think helps us to remember the language a lot more. In my opinion, there is just no comparison. I would rather read a book and go through the struggle trying to read a book in Spanish and in French versus just reading some short stories on ChatGPT. Or I'd rather have a conversation in Spanish with a Colombian so I can learn more about their culture, the food that they eat there, what kind of music that they listen to, what kind of movies and TV shows that they watch, and then go through that struggling process of trying to actually communicate that, ask those questions, and then trying to understand what they're telling me. Plus, I think there's only so many things that ChatGPT can actually capture, and there are some things that we're just going to have to ask native speakers of our target language anyway. I don't see ChatGPT as a shortcut to learning a language faster or becoming fluent faster either. But I guess we will see just how good the technology becomes. And I have to say that I am not an expert at all when it comes to ChatGPT and AI. I've only used ChatGPT for language learning a little bit, so I haven't really tested all the capabilities and know all the benefits and cons of using it. But these are just my initial thoughts on ChatGPT and AI. So I'm excited to see how my opinions will change the more that I use ChatGPT for language learning. Let me know in the comment section below if you think ChatGPT will replace traditional language learning. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and make sure that you share it with your language learning friends. Now watch this next video to learn more about my language learning journey.